Local breaking news on your Fast Track to 7 this morning. One woman is fighting for her life and another man is in jail after a shooting in downtown Fargo.
Take a look at your screen. Officers arrived to this scene around 1:30 this morning. This is in the 10 block of 7th Street North downtown. Officers say they found a 28-year-old woman with gunshot wounds and rushed her to the hospital for serious injuries.
Police then found 30-year-old Kyle Ochoa of Fargo and arrested him for suspicion of attempted murder. Authorities say Ochoa went into custody without a fight. He's now in the Cass County Jail.
Authorities also say Ochoa and the victim knew each other. There is no current threat to the public at this time. We will stay on scene and continue our coverage of this breaking news. New this morning, a North Dakota Highway Patrol vehicle was involved in a hit and run last night while investigating another crash. The incident happened around 8 p.m. on I-94 near the Tri-Level. That's when a Nissan sedan traveling east sideswiped a patrol vehicle that was parked with its emergency lights on.
The driver of the Nissan then ran away from the scene but was eventually found by Fargo police. 69-year-old Timothy Rosendahl of Fargo was arrested for leaving the scene of an accident and driving under the influence. Now the incident remains under investigation. The pilot who allegedly tried to crash an Alaskan Airlines plane with passengers on board very likely has ties to the University of North Dakota. Officials with UND say that records show a person by the name of Joseph Emerson attended UND as a student from the fall of '97 to the spring of 2001.
However, they say any connection by this individual to the incident would need to be confirmed by the FBI or the FAA. Joseph Emerson is booked on 167 charges, including 83 potential counts of attempted murder.
Investigators say he tried to turn off the plane's engines during a flight midair from Washington to San Francisco with dozens of passengers on board.
Time now for a look at our storm team forecast as we send things over to meteorologist Lisa Green. Good morning.
Good morning. We are preparing for winter weather to move into the valley starting later tonight and especially into Thursday and Friday, especially Friday morning. First alert weather days for us here with our first winter storm of the season affecting parts of the valley. So here's a look at the latest. We are quiet and dry right now. You see the snow in northwestern parts of North Dakota. That will be spreading into the Devil's Lake area, Northern Valley, Highway 2 corridor and points north essentially into the afternoon and evening hours tonight before more moisture starts to fill in for the rest of us, and we'll more likely see rain in the south. Leading up to that, though, pretty quiet out there this morning for any of your travels. Just keep in mind there are a couple of places in Lakes Country in the south where we have a few spotty areas of fog, but overall looking good. 41 in Fargo, it's 34 in Grand Forks, a cool 33 in Jamestown and Devil's Lake, and some places still in the southeast into those mid-40s. Fergus Falls is at 45 degrees, and wind is coming in out of the north here for today. Not too strong yet. It gets stronger as this system moves through. So right now out at the bus stop, it's not too bad for most kids. We're looking at temperatures 30s to some 40s in the valley. This afternoon, it's going to be different depending on where you are. So for most of us, it's just cloudy. We'll have temperatures in the 40s to some low 50s. But up in the Devil's Lake area, kids could be stepping off the bus into some snowy conditions here by 3 o'clock in places around Devil's Lake and to the north from there as well. So that's an area to watch. And that's round one. The second round, of course, moving in later tomorrow afternoon and evening and into Friday. This one is going to bring us that potential for a rain mixing over to snow for more parts of the valley. And by the time this is all said and done on Friday, some of us could have that heavy snowfall, half a foot or more in those areas under the winter storm warnings. And then some areas where might just get a coating, but we know that's enough to create some hazards on the roadway. So pay attention, and we'll of course be keeping you up to date throughout this event. And of course during the weekend, we've been warning you about the cold too. Everybody experiences that. Temperatures only around freezing by the time we get into Sunday, and that's your high temperature. We are above that right now by a good 10 degrees in places like Fargo, so big difference coming our way.
Wow, yeah, Lisa, I've lived here my whole life, but every time we get snow in October, it just hurts a little.
So every year.
Right. Always a bit of a shock. And, you know, we've had some Halloweens that have been on the warm side, you know, but this one, it's not going to be like that. Heading into Halloween, we're talking about temperatures into the teens and in the morning hours and then into the 20s and 30s by the evening. So plan your Halloween costumes accordingly.
Sure.
Yeah, good advice. Okay, thank you, Lisa. It is now 6:54, 22 days after ousting Kevin McCarthy. The People's House is still without a speaker.
Republicans choosing their fourth speaker nominee in just 3 weeks yesterday, with a floor vote planned for today. For Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson, Chanel Cowell brings us the story.
In a secret ballot Tuesday night, House Republicans chose their latest Speaker nominee.
The question here is Mike Johnson the right guy at the right time? And I think he is.
Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson securing 128 votes from the conference.
I'm very confident.
Johnson was first elected to Congress in 2016 and voted against certifying the 2020 presidential election.
You're going to see a new form of government, and we are going to move this quickly.
He becomes the fourth Republican Speaker nominee in 3 weeks and the second nominee of the day after Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer dropped out of the race.
In Indiana, I think there were maybe 28 or so that stated they're going to choose someone else other than Tom Emmer.
Emmer's bid was doomed after former President Donald Trump slammed him on social media, calling him a rhino, Republican in name only.
I think we need a Speaker of the House that reflects the views of Republican voters, and Republican voters largely support President Trump.
The infighting leading to growing frustrations within the GOP.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing first and foremost to our party.
As the House remains at a standstill.
Just pick someone.
With a government shutdown still looming. Chanel Call, CBS News, New York.
The House is set to reconvene at noon today. Johnson plans to seek a floor vote, but he will need 217 votes to secure the gavel.
Former Speaker Kevin McCarthy received 43 votes last night, despite not even being a nominee. Former Trump lawyer Jenna Ellis has pled guilty in the Georgia election interference case.
Her guilty plea yesterday was to aiding and abetting false statements and writings, making Ellis now the fourth co-defendant of former President Donald Trump to accept a plea deal instead of going to trial.
The conditions of the plea agreement require that she serve 5 years of probation, pay $5,000 of restitution to the Georgia Secretary of State, and then testify at hearings in the case.
Ellis is also required to complete 100 hours of community service and write an apology letter to the people of Georgia. President Biden not expected to be on the New Hampshire primary ballot for this upcoming election.
Biden's re-election campaign says the state refused to abide by new Democratic Party rules that South Carolina hold the primary first. The Democratic Party had moved to eliminate Iowa and New Hampshire as the state's holding of the first two election nominating contests in favor of South Carolina doing so.
New Hampshire state law mandates that the state hold its primary election first, but the DNC wanted South Carolina in a push for influence from more diverse states.
The humanitarian crisis deepening this morning inside Gaza, with President Joe Biden saying efforts to bring aid to civilians are not moving fast enough.
More trucks carrying food, water, and medicine were allowed across the border, but observers say it's not nearly enough to meet demand. Hundreds of thousands of Israeli troops are positioned along the border ahead of an anticipated ground invasion after the gruesome attack by Hamas on southern Israel.
We have a traffic alert for you this morning for people in Moorhead. Parts of 15th Avenue North are closing today.
It will be closed between Highway 75 and 28th Street North to repair the water main in that area. The closure expected to last for 3 days. All work, though, is pending weather conditions.
Drivers in the area advised to find alternative routes or perhaps a detour during that closure, I should say. And speaking of traffic alerts, wait till you hear this story.
An escaped herd of llamas and alpacas brought traffic to a complete standstill on a highway in northwest England.
Yeah, the specific breed of these is called camelids. They were seen running across the A66 in New England, and there you see them on that video.
Locals and drivers trying to round up the strays to guide them to safety. The wandering animals had escaped from a farm shop near the village of Troutbeck.
Okay, staff said a fence had been damaged in a hit and run, and about 30 of the adventurous llamas and alpacas then managed to escape. Talk about a little llama drama here on
Freedom!
You ain't getting those suckers back in.
Imagine just making your way down the road and
there
this comes at you.
Wow, I would love it. I'm with that person. I'd get out of the vehicle and be like, here, llama.
Here, buddy.
Yeah, let's go. I'm going to take you home.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, anyway, the Today Show and CBS Mornings are just about to start.
Thank you so much for waking up and joining us right here on the Valley today. We so appreciate you tuning in every weekday morning with Jordan and I right here. My name is Ashlyn Hill.
And I'm Jordan Schreier. Make sure you keep your gate closed and those llamas secured this morning. We'll see you tomorrow.
Freedom.